Welcome back to Bankrupt Overland. We are back hanging out with the regulars. What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
What's up? Now you can see us because we're live streaming on YouTube.
We're officially
We
live
are live
streaming.
streaming.
That's
And
awesome.
I have to turn the audio off. I always forget when it goes live stream to turn the actual audio off to my computer because it starts replaying me in the background.
Good. And I bet there's like a little
man.
delay, so it's like, yeah, not
That's
good.
cool.
Yeah, still figuring it out, but
Nice.
consistency is key. And we got some good feedback from some loyal listeners that liked the sessions live. So we're going to come back to you. We'll keep putting them out there if y'all keep liking them. And the chats were fun. So if you're listening in, hop in the chats, tell us what's up, tell us what you use from your water sources. As we get into what we're going to be talking about tonight, which spoiler alert is water sources.
Water sources. Nice.
How we carry our water, how we use our water.
Yep.
And so it's a lifeblood of humans, right? You got to have it. And when you go off the grid, it's something that you really want to make sure you've got planned out. So put our heads together. We all have kind of unique systems and figured that would be a really cool way to kind of bring in the summer months with some water talk. So, but before we get into that, let's keep it real and go with what we have done in the last week since we did the comms episode.
Yeah.
Wow. I got I've been holding on to them for a while, but I finally upgraded myself to some sliders. So I got them painted last week.
Dirty dog.
I did.
Oh my god!
So finally official. I've had them for a while. They're Metal Tech sliders. They're running a sale on them where you get like $99 shipping and 10 or 20% off. I don't know. So I was like, steel is so expensive now that this was going to be the cheapest way to get into it. So snagged them, and then I just spent literally a week cleaning and painting them because they came unpainted. So that's a long process.
Are they on?
No.
Okay.
I tried to get them on.
How did I miss that Instagram post? It's going to be lit up because your last one was on fire.
Here's an Instagram poll for you. Did you go gloss or matte black?
I went textured. Textured black. Yeah.
Oh man, not even that.
None of the above.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to switch it up. So kind of your basic prep was you have to get knock off the whatever rust and paint and all that. So Metal Tech has a really good write up on how to paint sliders, and that's probably applicable to any metal surface if you're doing it from
I remember
raw.
that when they sent me mine. I was like, oh wow, like this is actually a really good write-up on how to prep for paint. I'm impressed.
So followed all those instructions, got it all painted, and then I was just going to try to muscle them into place, and it's hard to muscle 80 pounds of steel that's about as long as you. So I was like, before I kill myself, let me rethink this and get some more tools to assist me in that. So they're currently still sitting in my garage, but
okay.
What are you saying, LJ?
I was gonna say, do you have some jack stands? That's how I did mine.
I did until Harbor Freight said, "Hey, can you return these? These might kill you." So, yeah.
Oh man.
I would have. I have some bottle jacks, but they didn't really help at all. So.
Well, if you make your way to Nashville in the next few days, just swing by the house and you can grab my jack stands because I shouldn't be working on any vehicles for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Actually, that's a really good segue into what you've been up to.
Yeah, no, I haven't done any work, but the boys down at Mill Creek Overland have been busy on the Land
They've
Cruiser.
been very busy.
I walked in and I was joking with Albert, the owner. You can always catch him hanging out in there around the shop. And I said, have you seen that reel on Instagram where it's got this redneck sitting in front of an old truck and said, you want to know the best thing or something? What was it? Something about you want to learn how to be a mechanic, don't just go get a job good enough to pay someone else to do
it. Yeah, it's so true.
So that's how I feel right now, because I've been trying to figure out some of this stuff on here, and I've just been beating my head against the wall. So finally dropped it off with the fine folks over there and diagnosed some things.
If you're in the profession, so like if you were a mechanic by day, and then you had to work on your vehicle at night, it would be even worse than like not being a mechanic and doing it, because there's no break. There's no time to like not have greasy hands or busted knuckles or cuts on your fingers. So
that's why you always hear those guys. Those are the guys that are working till 2 a.m. the night before they leave, because they put off their own work for so long.
They put it off for somebody else.
Yep. Nice. So we had to go through the rear axles, and we went ahead and put new bearings and seals in those. And as far as I know, they lasted 270,000 miles. So they did pretty solid for a rear axle.
I think that's beyond pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty legit. I mean,
and the last 40,000 miles were not easy miles. Rolling 35s.
One red clay rally probably takes off half the life of the seal for as much water crossings that you're going through. It's, that mud and that clay sand, it's everywhere. I mean, it was in my diff fluid. So, I mean, can you imagine what my seals look like?
Yeah. So I had somehow worn a groove into the axle shaft that was actually causing that seal not to seal anymore. And so so we actually ended up having to replace the axle shaft. Luckily, as I've said on some former podcasts, that a buddy of mine let me borrow an axle shaft before I went on the Utah trip. I am now once again the owner of something that I borrowed to take on a trip.
2 trips out west and 2 things it's like, hey, how much do you want for this?
You hauled it out there to borrow it. You brought it back and you screwed it up, and then you had to buy it.
So I didn't screw that one up. That one was the fresh one. They were they had identified this as a problem, and they were trying to kind of find a source before they called me, and I stopped in to drop off a fan shroud that I'd broken like a year ago. While it was in, I was like, just get this done too. And so I was dropping that off, and they were like, so this axle shaft, and I was like, I got one of those at home. And Vitali, the tech that was working, was like, we could have this job done already if you just called him.
Oh man. Well, that's a big thing on the 80 series, the front axles. The axle shafts wear right at that axle seal joint. And Wits End, I believe, makes a seal driver that pushes it just about a 1/4 inch further in, and it allows it to sit in a new location on the axle shaft, so you don't actually have it rubbing in that spot. And I made my own when I rebuilt mine with just like a couple bolts and washers to just push it just a little bit further. But they make a tool for it. So
wow,
that's awesome. So
I had no idea.
So we ended up having to actually replace an axle shaft that we thought was just gonna be a seal. So got lucky on that one. I'm now the owner of that axle shaft, not the borrower, and I have a trail spare. So in case anything ever really bad happens. And then on the front, we had I've been replacing this bearing on this one side for probably, I don't know, the last 10,000 miles. I kept kind of getting loose and making noise, and getting loose and making noise. And finally identified the spindle had been worn so much that the bearing just wasn't sitting on it right, and it would be spinning. And so replaced the spindle, which is connected to the steering assembly as well. So it was a pretty significant part to purchase. But the noise that I was chasing before Utah is now gone.
And you have a trail spare.
And I have a trail spare. So, worst comes to worst. And so there were some big ticket items that we found through just routine maintenance. But if we hadn't have found those, then, those are just things that happen when you have a car that's as old as this one. You just got to know that, when you didn't go out and buy the $70,000 brand new Jeep, these things are going to happen. Right. And it's a 20-year-old vehicle with, 275,000 miles on it. So we got it dialed in again. And hopefully we'll be good through the rest of this season, be able to enjoy it. I'm hoping the next time I take it to Mill Creek is for a Red Clay Rally pre-check.
Yep.
About a month out of Red Clay Rally is ideal. Nice. And that's the next time we get it in for anything that has to be done. So fingers crossed it makes it through the summer and everything's good, but I don't plan to do any like big wheeling trips soon. So I think more camping's in my mind, getting the kids out and just trying to enjoy a little bit of nature, because I got my wheeling fixed in for sure on that Rome 4 low trip. But that was not a light bill, but it was a bill that was needed to be done to get that thing back to where it needed to be.
Right.
So that's what I did. I just spent money. What about you, Jeff?
Spent money. Oh man. So let's see. What did I do? I don't think I worked on the cruiser at all. But I did go wheeling the other day. I think it was on Easter. So we were kind of just sitting around and I was like, what are we going to do, kids? And my wife was chilling. She's like, oh, I'm just hanging. So I'm like, I'm gonna get the kids out of the house because we've been home for a couple days.
Yeah.
So I go down the street about 10 minutes from my house. There's this cool spot that you can get in all kinds of trouble. Mm-hmm. And I'm with both kids. And I mean, we hit the gravel and we are maybe in the gravel for 2 to 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'm fully submerged, sunken in this mud bog hole.
Oh, no.
There's a trail that I haven't gone through that I see a lot of side-by-sides and stuff going through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's go through that. Like I got a winch, like it's only about the width of the vehicle across. And this is mud puddle. It just rained too. So there's some water.
Yeah.
Pull in the front tires. Okay, cool. I go in slow. And I'm like, okay, it's got a hard bottom.
Yeah.
Well, get more in. And then all of a sudden I kind of just feel it like clunk, like you can hear like the back tire, the spare tire, like slap the water. I'm like, okay. So I reach back and I put the rear locker on.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to like climb out. It's kind of in a ravine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in a little bit of a ravine. And I'm like, okay, I'm locking the rear. We'll get out of this. No problem. I try and going forward. And all of a sudden the front axle just clunk, it just slams in high centers and hits like a rock.
Oh,
so now both front tires are off the ground, just spinning, trying to go forward. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's fun. Lock the front. I go in reverse and I only go about a foot. Okay. I'm like, okay, that's not very good. Let's go forward again. Boom, hit the rock again. Back up.
Yeah.
Only make it about 2 feet. And I full throttle in reverse in 4 low, locked front and rear. I'm like, okay.
Are you rev limiting the 6-finger?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not because it takes a while for it to spool up to that.
I just want to know how in it you were to get out yet.
At this point, I wasn't too in it. I wasn't too worried. I had a winch.
I feel like it's going to get good.
Yeah, I know. I'm enjoying this build up.
So then I think I got some pictures of it. Let me pull them up here. So then I'm like, okay, cool. There's got to be another line to get out of here.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the photos. And I'm like, there's another line. I can totally get out of here. So I kind of veer over to the left to go on this other line. I don't have the pictures up. I veer over to the left to get this other line where there's basically my 2 front tires were falling in this rut and it was high center in the middle. So then I tried to put my passenger tire up on the right side of the rut and kind of be able to climb up. I mean, I couldn't even climb up it. My tires were fully caked and I was pretty much done at that point. So then I'm like, okay, it's like 2-3 o'clock. Like, I don't want to be out here for a while. So I go as far forward as I can. I go in reverse and I'm like, hold on, kids. And they're like grabbing the oh shit handles. And I like spool it up. I hold the brake and then I just kind of slam the gas. And as soon as I start feeling it lurch, I let off the brake. And it didn't launch like you're thinking it's gonna. It went back maybe 3 feet. So I'm like, oh god, this is not good.
So you're then just digging it deeper too.
Yeah,
as you do that,
just plowing, digging it deeper. And at this point, Carter's like, "We're stuck," and I'm like, "No, we're not stuck yet, Carter. No way, we're not stuck." Like, we're getting out of this.
Never say never.
I open my door and look out, and it's almost up to the slider. It's not really deep. So go forward, back. I think I do about 3 times. And I'm like, okay, this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
So I was locked front and rear. I go as far forward as I can, kind of like I get one tire up on the ledge, and then I just floor it in reverse. And that's when the rev limiter started going. Not very fast because the tires and the gearing's so bad. Make the back tires up the rut. My front tires are still stuck in there because the tires are caked with like that. It's like that poo mud. Yeah. Where it like doesn't just, it's not like wet and loose. So I get the back up. I'm like, okay, we got this. So we go forward, and I was able to get up a little bit higher on the rut, and then I back up and I get out of there. And I was like, oh man, no more. We're not going out.
Yeah.
So then I go to like look and see if I can find another way around it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I see another way around it, and I'm looking, and I'm like, no, we're done. We're going back. So we go back, we go over to one of these little cool overlooks with the kids, and we get out, and the kids walk around and play and stuff. And they're all stoked. And I'm like, okay, let's go to this other trail. So we're going along, and we get to this other side trail where I've gone down maybe like a quarter mile, and then I've stopped, didn't go any further. And I see this pretty good obstacle, and I'm like, I can go through that. That's fine. It's going on a slight downhill.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't pick the right line, and I go too far to the right. Okay. And the front tire bad line. The front tire just falls into this giant hole, and I hit my sliders harder than I've ever hit my sliders before. It just goes slam. And I was like, oh my God. I turned around, and my kids were like, what was that? And I'm like, I think that was my slider. So get out, and I look around, and sure enough, my sliders, there's a tube that goes between both the cats. My cats are really low on the 80s.
Yeah.
It's just resting on that tube. And I'm like, oh, thank God my cats aren't just completely crushed.
Yeah.
Saved me there. So then I'm like, okay, should I go forward? Should I go backwards? I'm like, let's just go backwards. We're in 2 for 2 here.
Yeah.
This is not ending well. So we're just going to back on up and get out of there. And we're going to just go and just play around for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of my, that was my kind of day. I did get the picture loaded up here. So this is the mud hole. It doesn't look too bad for anyone watching.
Yeah.
The diff basically diffed out right here. And then I was trying to kind of go kitty corner on an angle over here, but it looks like nothing, but I was completely sunk. I should have got out and videoed it. It would have been great.
Wow.
So yeah, then we stopped and kind of just made lunch and hung out and played around and came back, and I was covered in mud. I mean, there was mud flying in the window, like from reversing.
Yeah.
Like my new seat cover, I put new seat covers on. They're just like covered with mud. The dash is all muddy.
Oh no.
But getting into the water systems, thankfully I had my water system because I was able to hose off mud on the sliders, because the kids get in and out, and then they just track all the mud in the car. So I was out there watering my car with my power washer.
Did it grow?
No. But I was out there watering my car down, and I was just waiting for some redneck to come by and be like, what you doing there, boy?
Ain't on your car?
Yeah. Where'd you get that hose from?
Oh man, that's funny.
Cool little segue though.
Some things have happened in the last week. That's always fun.
I
always like how you just get the kids out. You're like, oh, we're just gonna go out in the woods, and it's always a good time, right? The kids always have fun just being out and doing stuff.
Yeah, it's simple. You grab the fridge. So my fridge is on 24/7 now. It's springtime. Fridge is always on. It's always got beer. It's always got Capri Suns. It's got Go-Gurts for the kids. Like, it's loaded with snacks. Like, something happens, you just get in the car and go, and you're good to go. You got water, you got all the stuff. So we brought the basket in, put bread, peanut butter, jelly, turkey, mayonnaise, mustard, and we went out and made sandwiches and had some chips and stuff. And it's just, you're ready to go. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, yeah. So let's talk water systems. We had a little bit of chatter on the YouTube channel. and they're talking a little bit about how getting water on the trail and or trying to bring enough. So we'll add that into the conversation as we get through kind of the containers, because that's pretty cool. Spin on it as well. It's from Missouri Adventures. Shout out to the Ozark fam out there. And so talking about water systems, there's a lot of water systems, right? Like there's a couple ways to go through this, right? You can go through, why you want to bring water. And I think that's kind of self-explanatory, right? Like you need water, one, to live, right? We got to drink it. You also probably want it to clean, right? If you do any cooking, right, you don't want those dirty plates or pans or whatever you have. If you don't have any water, you're kind of just putting dirty dishes back in your car, which it's kind of nasty. Not above it. I've done it before, but ideally you'd want to clean it before you do that,
because you're going to leave them in there till next time, and then you're going to be pissed when next time rolls around and you're like, all my plates are dirty, my silverware's nasty, because I don't go through my camp bin every time. It's dialed in enough. And like Steve, if you don't clean your stuff before you put it back in those pretty organized drawers, man,
it's disgusting.
Bad news. Bad news. Gross. So what else do we need water for? I mean, you always have it as a backup for your radiator as well, like in case you have a hose that might pop off or something, right? You always want to have that as a backup to refill.
During the Red Clay Rally, I use it to wash off my windshield and my headlights, tail lights, turn signals. The first year, definitely, because we hit so much mud. I remember Sheldon was out there like pouring bottles of water on there. And I remember I got my hose and I put it on like the stream and I was like squirting on him. He's like, "What? Where did you get that thing?" It's like, "Bring that over here." So I washed like everyone's headlights off.
There you go. Another way. Clean the lights. So there's a lot of reasons to bring water with you that isn't just probably uses, I guess. It isn't just to live. And as we go through this, you'll see kind of how you can also save water by using certain applications, like a nozzle, things like that, instead of wasting it. But starting off, right, a lot of folks kind of go with this first one here. I call it Big Blue. You either have this version that looks like a jerry can, and you can kind of pour water out, or you have kind of, I think Jeff, you were talking about earlier, the Walmart jug that you have the nozzle you can turn on and off.
It's called like the Aquatainer, I think, and it has this water spout that you can turn around, put inside itself to like stack it, kind of like a gas can style, where you kind of like yours too. So they're stackable, but they always leak. You can't leave it tipped sideways in your vehicle because it always leaks. At the campsite, you can tip it there and it just always gets a slow leak because there's not like a rubber gasket or anything.
It's just plastic on plastic.
It's like a tapered plastic, so you don't get the ability to seal very well. But that's a cheap option.
Like $20 for those, right? Like it's, you got to get water out. This is it. And if worst comes to worst, you can go to Walmart on your way out and grab those 1 gallon jugs. If you just need water, right? And they're pretty easy to pack in. We've used them before on the beach for our drinking water and stuff. It's like, just throw them in the floorboard and you've got, a couple gallons just sitting there ready to go.
I typically bring that as an extra also, because whatever water source you have, if it's vehicle mounted or wherever, it's nice to be able to bring water. I also use that to put out a fire if I'm not close enough to park. Especially in California, putting out water and having the mobility and portability of it is a really nice thing. I'm restricted to just my vehicle with my setup and a 20-foot reach. So having a portable water solution is a great idea. And I typically bring one with me also when we're just camping.
It's also a really good backup in case if for whatever reason, if you're on an extended trip and your main water tank gets contaminated or springs a leak. And then say if you're in the middle of the desert, at least now you have some sort of backup, right? So my system is not the Aquatainer or anything like that. It's actually 2 water Rotopacks. It fits really nicely in my little slot that I have.
Oh, nice. And like that was 2.5 gallon ones or 1 gallon ones?
These are 2 gallons.
Okay.
So yeah, and that was kind of my idea. I could have gone and I had like a big 7-gallon one, like what LJ has right behind him, but it was just too much to deal with, a lot of weight in one container. But also if it leaked, or if something, I don't know, say if something bad like a microbe or something got in there, or just dirty water, all my water for the entire trip is now not usable unless if I boil it.
N plus one action.
Yeah, so that's why I have two.
Compromised,
yeah. So that's why I have 2 Rotopacks, is because if I fill up one from one place, it's a little sketchy. I know at least now one of them is solid drinking water versus one of them is just dishwater, dish cleaning water that you would boil. So, something to consider.
I feel like you would have this, Steve. One of this reminds me of what Missouri Adventures was talking about. Do you have something that can screw onto that where you could take in water from any water source possibly?
So I was thinking about, so Ironman just released a new 12-volt pump. They may have had it in Australia for a while, but Ironman 4x4 America just released it the other day. And I was thinking of like a whole water system where you have the pump out, but also pump in. And then before it hits your water tank, you have an actual filter, so that it doesn't matter where you fill up water. It could be a creek, it could be a lake, it could be wherever, just some sort of running water or flowing water. It would filter out 99% of the microbes in there. So that was something I was kind of toying with, but 90% of the time my water comes either from my hose at my house or some sort of established drinking, some sort of fountain, either gas station or whatever. So, but it's not a bad idea to have, especially if you're doing like a lot of wilderness style travel where maybe you don't see, anything for quite a while. And here in the Southeast, it's easy to find a creek somewhere, right? Or find a river somewhere where you could just pull up and throw a hose in there.
There's a lot, and it's so nice to be able to do that. So there's always, water if you need a shower, there's always water sources close enough.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I was reading through this Grand Canyon Run packet, and one of the things that you're required to bring is a life straw.
Yeah.
And I just got to thinking about that and through this process too, of you probably want to have a life straw with you in your car.
It's like 20
so I have
bucks.
One of my, I don't have a life straw, but I got it from REI, and it's a water filtration, like soft bag, and it does up to 1,000 gallons. And I think it's a 16-ounce like bag that basically screws on like a water bottle. It's a 16-ounce bag, and it has a filter that screws on kind of like a water bottle cap. And it has a little squirt bottle, so you basically fill it up literally anywhere. If the water's brown, anything, and it has these little fibers that the water actually soaks through. So I always leave that in the vehicle. And that's like, it just sits in the glove box, and it's tiny enough for 1,000 gallons, like you could literally filter probably your own piss out and drink it if you had to. Or any kind of water source. So that's always a good backup.
Now, have you ever used those in like real life?
Never have used it.
So that's my thing, is I'm like, I get this life straw, but I've never actually tried it, and maybe I should try it before I need it. Right.
I've used not the life straw, but I've used Canadine. It's a lot of backpackers will have. It's a very not high performance, but it filters out a lot of stuff. So a lot of the ultralight backpackers and stuff that don't want to bring a Nalgene full of water, they'll bring this and filter their own water while they're hiking the Appalachian Trail or whatever.
Nice.
So I've used that before, but never life straw. But life straw has been around for at least a decade, if not longer.
Yeah, and you can use the life straw, like you could just put it in the like water, a bowl of water at your house and drink out of it, and you can put it back and continue to use it. If you're using like if you were like life or death situation and you were like drinking out of like a muddy pond, you use it for that time, and I'd probably throw it away and get another one. But supposedly you're still good.
I think there might be a way
in that situation too. Hope y'all aren't either.
I hope so. I hope we're not.
Always good to have it if you need it though, right?
Definitely.
But yeah, I've been watching this guy on Instagram. Quadzilla is his name, but he's a hiker and he's hiking the Appalachian Trail right now.
Yeah.
The dude's like hammering out like 20 miles a day or more.
Oh,
like just
wow.
outrageous. And I'm pretty sure I saw him like filling up his cantinas by a stream one day with one of those lifesavers. I was like, okay, kind of your point, Steve, of these lightweight, long-term hikers and just being able to fill up a couple water bottles anytime they pass a stream is, once you get used to it, it's probably pretty nifty.
It's so convenient. And because I'm typically like, I bring all my water for the trip. I bring my 7-gallon water tank. And I bring that Aquatainer jug, which is 7 gallons typically, especially if I'm going with more than just myself. Bring that. And then I typically have 2 1-gallon jugs of water in my fridge at all times. And I just continuously just keep those full, because if I'm bringing the water, that's why I like a bigger fridge. If I'm bringing the stuff, might as well just keep it in the fridge cold, because it runs more efficient. It keeps everything colder, and then it's not bouncing around. It's just in the fridge. So I typically have 2 gallons of water and lots of beer in case. In the fridge.
Ice cream. Juice boxes.
I haven't done juice boxes. I haven't done the ice cream yet because it hasn't been summer, but last summer we did.
You got to keep it pretty cold for the ice cream too. You can't just go 30 degrees on that.
No. So my trick with
learned that the hard way. Everything got soft on me. It's a bad day when everything goes soft on you.
In many ways. My trick is when you have 2 compartments, or if you have a single, if you run around 12 or 13 degrees ish in that range, it keeps it cold enough to where like your eggs and cheese are like almost freezing, but it keeps the ice cream where it's not melting. But if you want to do it right, you got to put it at 0, and still your fridge is running constantly because it takes a lot of power. So if you're not moving a good amount every single day, your second battery is going to drain. I typically will just destroy my second battery if I'm doing ice cream and it's 90 degrees out and there's no sun or parked in shade. You'll destroy that second battery quick.
Squirrel. I don't know if y'all remember, I was complaining about the Jackery not being able to keep up with my fridge on my last trip. Well, this trip I actually purchased a 12-volt plug for the fridge instead of the other plug that I had.
120. Nice.
And that Jackery never skipped a beat. It held up just fine. I could run 2 days with that fridge at the temps we were in on the Jackery when it was using the 12-volt plug. It was night and day difference in the drain. So
so 20% or so increase at least.
It was really noticeable. Like I never once had range anxiety like I did before.
Oh man.
Yeah. And once you get that inverter in there, the efficiency decreases substantially. So,
and then your Jackery is just plugged into the cigarette lighter in the back of the cruiser.
Got
it.
So anytime the cruiser's on, it's charging, but if the cruiser's off, it doesn't charge. So when you're doing the trips like we typically do, where you move around for at least every day or 2 days, you're moving. It's normally okay, especially where we were. I mean, the temps we were in were very, very pleasant and calm, and we didn't have any issues. But when you're in the desert, when it's 100 degrees, the fridge does take a little bit more to keep up, and we were in those types of situations.
Do you have a bag on yours?
No.
Okay, the bag helps a lot.
I'm sure.
Insulation.
I just haven't gotten that far yet. I haven't made it to that level of Overland in the journey on the game map.
Well, that's what I said before I leveled up and got the bag. Because I was like, okay, I just got a $1,500 fridge, and now I have to spend $75-$80 for another accessory.
Why would totally borrowed one and messed it up, man? They come a lot cheaper.
Like, why do I need to do that? And then it's like, okay, cool. Because if you feel the side of the fridge, it's cool. And they're like, okay, so there's obviously some heat loss through the plastic and stuff. So I feel like it does make a difference, especially when it was when I was in California, the dry heat, when it was 100 degrees. I feel like it made a big difference, because I used to sleep inside the rig, and you would hear the fridge just every 2-3 minutes it would turn on when it was on freezer and it was that hot. So then when you put the bag on there, it was spaced out a little bit longer, which was nice.
That is nice. Yeah, I haven't gone on the bag route yet. I think I'm still trying to level up from the baseline. So hopefully I'll get baselined here in the next year.
Yep. Nice.
So back to water. Sorry for the squirrel.
Cool.
Squirrels are great though.
Yeah.
Just maybe not as great as Stu. And so I want to talk a little bit about this heart system. That we talked about this. This came up as a surprise guest in our Christmas special.
It did.
From Jeff. Yeah. We weren't expecting this one to pop up, and it kind of came. It was a squirrel. I can give it its due.
Yeah,
it was a pretty good squirrel.
Yeah.
And so I took one of these to Utah, and actually one of our listeners, Matt, who was on this trip, had the same one. I was like, get out of here, dude. Nice. He said he listened to the podcast and was like, I got it myself. And so that was kind of his first big trip with it as well. So we put them through their paces for a week. And I just charged the one because it comes with a battery, and you plug in there, like the wall 12-volt battery, plug that in. You got a little one switch that you click in for to turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
Just pull it up here. And so there's your whole little system.
Okay.
You got your switch, your hose clips into here, so you got a really closed system, so you're good. So I stuck mine in that little cubby, Steve, next to the drawers.
Oh yeah.
And then you got a light.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
You need a light, and then here's your switch for the pump. Turn the pump on.
Okay. Huh.
And so that worked out really well. It was really nice to have, I just would open the drawers open. I could have access to that hose, which is really long. Yeah, there you go. And just would pull the hose out, and I'd be able to do anything I wanted to with it. I didn't, I kind of had it right next to the cooking station, so I didn't have to worry about for cleaning. It was right there. And it just worked out really well.
It's a genius system, man.
Oh, it's 5
and the
gallons?
way it sits too, like it sits well. Like it kind of has its own space, so that you don't have to worry about it. It's not awkward, if that makes sense. Like that is awkward.
Seems like it sits
tall.
Flat.
Yeah, this is really tall. It's not going to sit on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this has a good wide base. And so it didn't feel like it was going to tip over. And it happened to fit right between. So I had my fridge, the Wolfpack box, and then that. And it was like, it wasn't super tight to where nothing could move, but it was tight enough to where nothing could tip over.
Nice.
Okay.
And so I put some straps in, strapped it down, and did it. But that holds 5 gallons. That's another option. That's around what was it, $120, $129, $130 on Walmart. And so that was a Christmas gift for me. Luckily the wife listened to that episode and decided to get me some gifts off of
it. It seems a little pricey, but as soon as you have running water, do anything and just instant. I mean, I'm pretty close to that in my 12-volt water system that's built into my car, and that's portable. Like having the ability to take that out, you could put it on, like, does it have a mist mode?
Excuse me?
Does it have like a mist mode?
It does. It has the nozzle has 10 different settings.
So you can put it on like mist. If it's hot as balls outside, you can like put it on mist and like mist people off, or yourself off, and cool down. Like it has so many uses. You can use it around the house to water plants where your hose doesn't reach if you want it. Like it's great for just simple things.
It's a nice upgrade. I'm a few years into this now, and so when you're first getting into it, this is a great option, right? Just get have something that can get the water, and make sure you're going to be in it for the long haul. And at this point in my life, I know this is gonna be something I'm gonna do for a while. So it's nice to see that one hit the Christmas tree and be able to get it, because that's a good price too, where I probably wouldn't buy it, but it's also a good price for a gift, if that makes sense. Like it's that good gift price range where I like those, like that's what I like to get to, is like where it's just more expensive to where your wife's not going to buy it, but it's like right in that range where it's a perfect gift price. So if you're looking for something to get your significant other, that's a pretty solid water system that worked really well. So that battery worked for the entire trip. I never had to plug it in.
Nice.
And so it had its own, independent power the whole time. And it was good.
From what I've read, I think they said you can fill the tank like 3 times.
I think it was like 2 to 3 times is what the manual was saying. Yeah.
Gotcha. Which is
and I only needed once because I didn't we didn't have to use that much water because you only used water when you actually sprayed the nozzle.
So yeah, that's a good, let's touch base on that, LJ. So
yeah,
talk about the differences of that blue jug in the back versus your Hart water sprayer, like on water usage.
Yeah, you use a lot less. So what is that one? I think Steve said it was 7 gallons.
Yeah, those are typically about 7 gallons.
Yeah, and there's 5 in this one, and we had it. We were out there for a week, and we had bottled water for our drinking water. So this was primarily for like cleaning and just general use. And some of that was like spraying our shoes off when they got really muddy. Yeah, because it rained for a couple of days out there. Some of it was spraying off the window because it got really muddy out there. Some of it was spraying your head off in the morning and kind of giving yourself a little wet wipe shower.
Yeah.
Could have totally done an actual shower because I did have the whole setup there to do it, but we never actually like stayed somewhere long enough to where you'd want to set it all up and do a shower. We were moving most of the time, but you were able to, had enough to spray your head off every morning and get clean, get ready to go. And we'd 5 gallons lasted us the whole trip. I'm not sure if it could last everybody in different situations the whole trip, but it did pretty good for us.
Nice.
And didn't need much more than that, especially when our drinking water was was coming from like bottled water sources, things like that. So, but you use a lot less water because with these, if you're doing dishes and you pour water out, you're going to lose water before you get your actual dish and after you get to your dish or anything that you're doing. If you're washing your hands, you have to have that tipped over the entire time. And so that's going to make it tough. So you're going to naturally waste a lot more water with an open system just in general. But you got like the water ports that they have their own pressurized system that have nozzles as well, which would be another good option. But you just kind of
can't refill those on the trail though.
The water ports?
Sorry, the rinse kits. Sorry, I was thinking rinse kits.
Oh, okay.
Water port.
I don't know if I've seen the rinse kits.
Is
that a water port thing?
Water port is the big tank on the side of your car, right?
Yeah.
On the roof,
like a big black
tank that like you can pressurize.
But you still have to pressurize it. That's it's not that big of a deal if you have onboard air and stuff, but you still have to pressurize it.
I think most of them are like a little pump that you could like hand pump it maybe.
Yeah, someone put in the comments.
Real into them, to be honest. Probably something I should have done before we did a water tank podcast, and I brought them up.
Yeah. Oh, Steve, we're wearing matching shirts today.
Oh, I noticed that when you
are you kidding me?
I was like, oh, we got shirts. We totally didn't coordinate that.
I'm going.
Chats are coming in hot.
No.
Yeah, I think your wife saw we're twinsies with their matching shirts.
She's very proud.
God.
Yeah. I actually feel a little left out now. Like, thanks, guys.
Someone was talking about the road shower and how it was so annoying, pumping it each time and running out of water so fast with it. Water leaks, air leaks, and so much weight up high. So that makes sense. You're holding 7 gallons of water up high. It's what, 8 pounds a gallon?
That's like 8. Yeah. It's about 8, a little bit over 8.
Yeah. So that's a decent weight up there.
Yeah.
So the other thing, so LJ, with that water pump or the pressurized system, with mine, I have the same type of nozzle I got, from Home Depot. And I wrote and I tested each one of the settings on it. And I timed with a stopwatch how long it ran on each one of those times. And I wrote it on the nozzle. So when it was on the mist, Steve's over here.
Dude. That's
laughing for you guys.
A Jeff thing.
Because I just wanted to know. So on the mist setting, you could run it for I think it was 17 minutes, just constant.
Wow.
There was one that is, it's called Cone, and it's like a pretty decent pressure. And that one was, I think, 9 minutes. And that's one that I use for a shower.
Yeah.
And we've done 3 showers back to back with it on that Cone setting, where you basically soap up, turn it off, you rinse off, and then, you spray down and stuff. So, it was very interesting to, see how long, each one of those lasted.
Yeah.
I love how engineer y'all are. brings joy to my life. It really does. Like Jeff's gonna get, like, whoever buys Jeff's Land Cruiser is gonna get an owner's manual.
Oh, dude,
it's
gonna be like this young kid who's like, oh yeah, I want a Land Cruiser 80 series. I'm like, well, hold on. Okay, if you want hot water, you have to do this. If you're doing the lockers, you got to do this, this, and this. If you're charging the batteries in your house, you got to do this. With the solar panel on the roof, you got to do this.
Here's a tool I made for the axle seals. It's in the glove box all the time.
Don't forget to use the life straw in the glove box. All the good stuff.
Oh man,
please.
It does make a difference. There's a change in how you handle water when you go to a closed system versus the open system. Like there is definitely, we were just talking levels of Overland. That's the next level of water organization and orchestration. To use some of my IT words.
But they say light bars before, or lockers before light bars. Would you say water tank before light bars?
Well, you need water. Like you can just put a water. You can just
obviously
put some
need water, but like waterboard,
like pressurized water,
water before light bars.
Before light bars. Oh,
we're another level here.
That's a tough one.
I would say yes because I don't have a light bar on my car. I don't have any extra lights.
Final answer. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
No one's going to come up to you and be like, dude, LJ, those Baja Design lights are so sick with muddy feet. No, they're going to be like, dude, let me use your hose because my feet are fucking muddy.
My Jordans are a little muddy and I can't.
The first thing that comes to my mind with the water is like somebody kind of going, I blew my radiator. Do you have some water I could use?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
LJ running out there was his heart thing.
We won't lose any water. Watch this.
I got my overalls on my heart thing going to save the day.
Ready to go. In my coveralls. Let's go.
The onboard water is one of those things that's as much of a game changer as a fridge for camping in the dirt desert.
Yeah.
Washing dishes with a onboard water system or pressurized water using LJ's system or whatever. It's so much easier because doing dishes, like here's your scenario. You just made breakfast and you're using your regular plates because we're overlanders and we're saving the world here. You're using your plastic. You're using your plastic plates. And you just made your kids pancakes with syrup and eggs with ketchup. And bacon.
You had bacon.
And there's bacon. Okay. You try and get that off with your water spout jug over there. You're going to be wasting.
I'm scrubbing for 30 minutes.
You're scrubby, seriously. Buddy. You're going to town. So onboard pressure, you get that mist setting 19 minutes. You got to go to town on that thing, man. You just blast all that syrup straight off. All the ants are going crazy. It's perfect.
Yeah. Also, but what to think about this? Like, what if you have your dog and they get muddy? You can wash your dog's paws off. You can give your dog a whole ass bath,
or your kids.
You can do that too. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like a dog can run off into the woods, get muddy, come back, and there you go. You have everything you need to get them clean and back in the truck. So
yeah, I mean, I used mine on Easter to hose off my kids' boots. They have their mud boots. They were playing in the creek, and then get into the car, sit on the tailgate. I'm hosing your feet off.
Yep.
And then you don't have to do that extra step when you get home.
Yeah.
You're already done. It's already prepared, ready to go. So it's I have a long list of things that's beneficial.
So we've talked about the portable water systems. Let's jump into the more permanent solutions. Like first thing that comes to mind, we'll get into yours, Jeff, because yours is more intricate than what I'm about to say, but and you might have a piece of this, but it's the front runner floorboard water systems. I think those are so cool because they keep the water low.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you utilize that back seat, which most people aren't using on these types of trips, except for storage. Like those are big. I think are pretty. They're 7 plus gallons. Yeah.
No, I think they're bigger than that. I think they're up.
Are they bigger than that?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm pulling one up right now. It's 10.6 gallons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking some serious. You're talking some serious tanks, and it is cool. The only downside is you have to have 2 drain spouts. So the way it works is it goes over the hump of your drive shaft basically, and it goes in the rear seat. And you have to have 2 inlets. So on each side, there's a little inlet for the tank. So you do have to have one on each side. The only downside is you're going to hear that water sloshing around like crazy in the back seat. It's going to be loud. Because
it'd be nice if they had that, like, but baffled, right? Like take a gallon out of capacity and have it baffled. Really cool. Like that would be sick.
Yeah, because my tank I can hear, because mine takes mounted forward backwards. It's a long rectangle, and when I hit the brakes or hit the gas, you can hear it sloshing. So this I'm sure you would hear, but with this system is you don't even have to have a pump with it, because you can lower it down towards the ground and it's going to gravity feed. So a lot of people just have like a little nozzle, and they use it just to fill up, and it's super easy. But you do get that over the hump where water could be on one side of the hump versus the other when you're starting to drain it.
Yeah.
But it's a great option. I really looked into that before I did the system that I did, because it looked really cool.
So here's the 8-year-old in me. I feel like if all the water got stuck on one side, it's just a great excuse to do donuts, right?
It is.
Load up. We're doing donuts. The water's on one wrong side.
Yep. Yeah. So someone commented, worried about putting a water tank inside if there's a small leak and you catch it too late. My floorboards are always wet because I'm going through water crossings and I drive an old vehicle. So if it's raining or I do water crossings, my floorboard's wet. So it's just another step of drying it out. So
that happened to me with that one. I guess the first red clay rally I did in the Land Cruiser, that got put in on its side, and just like you said, they always leak, and so it leaked in the entire back of the Land Cruiser on top of the drawers, in the drawers. And I was like, man, I thought I just ruined the whole system. Luckily, it all dried out in like a week or whatever, and it was fine. But it smelled terrible for a week.
Musty, humid, stinky.
So that happened, and I had to just take everything out and do a standard session to dry it out, and then put it all back in. It was good again. But that's it's a real possibility. I mean, you got your water inside; it could leak.
We got some good comments in here. Dave is commenting, dude, God. Time to pack the portable washing machine. Might as well do a load of wash while doing the dishes.
Yo, hold on. Let me send you something. Right.
You are so right, Dave.
Expedition Portal just posted.
So I have done a load of laundry while I've been driving. So when Elliot was little, she would get car sick on windy roads. I didn't have my onboard water, but I did have a little wash bin and soap. I washed it on the side of the road. And then pro tip, guys, if you get your clothes or shoes muddy, wet, you need to dry them out, pop the hood, throw those clothes on the intake manifold, wrap them around like a cable or something, and you just keep on going. By the time you
get the exhaust manifold, right?
No. Up on top of the intake. You can wrap it around your like brake booster or something high up. And those things are bone dry when you get to camp. Works.
It's also a great place to warm up your leftovers if you have leftovers.
Yes, it is.
I was following the Roadkill guys. They just drove that flat fender Jeep from Phoenix to Key West. Yeah. And they cooked shrimp on the intake manifold of the
shrimp po' boys.
My God.
Oh man.
I was like, these guys they had like butter all over everything in the engine bay.
It just smells like Thanksgiving dinner.
Shrimp Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, shrimp dinner. Oh boy.
So back to water systems squirrel again. Got me.
Squirrel.
So let's talk about yours, Jeff, because yours is unique in the way that you heat the water.
Yeah,
I believe, considering standard ways to do that. So talk to us about how you set yours up to do the heating and all that stuff. Things that's pretty nifty.
So the first thing so I was building my water tank, and I like taking showers. It's just like a nice thing. Like, especially if you're camping, taking a shower is worth, $1 million. It's the best.
I'm the opposite. I love that I don't have to take a shower.
Really?
When I camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not like a germaphobe or anything, but it's just nice to take a nice shower. So when I was designing my tank, I wanted to have the ability to have hot water without having to do anything, without having to set anything up, because I hate having another gadget that you have to plug in, hook to this, plug in the line, hook up your propane to heat the water. It's convenient if you're somewhere for a while, but out of a vehicle, it's not convenient to have a water tank that runs off propane if you have to hook it up and it's not mounted to something. So I was doing some research, and I'm like, okay, I have a second battery in my vehicle. I can pull some decent power out of this. I don't have to worry about it. And I came up with the idea. Let me pull up a picture here of my tank. So what I did was I found my fridge. To the passenger side of my fridge, there's an area that I had nothing in there. I just keep kind of tools and rags. So I was able to find a 7-gallon water tank that was a long rectangle. It's probably about 10 inches wide, 6 inches tall, and probably 22 inches long. 7 gallons of water. And if you look on the bottom right-hand side, if you're watching us live, there's basically what is set up as the fill hole for a water tank. It's a standard size. It's about a 1.5 inch threaded insert. That's the standard fill size. And then the tanks come with multiple other fittings that you can put in there that I hooked up. So I found a 12 volt. They're considered like a water heater. It's kind of like an immersion heater. And it's basically a rod that if you have an electric water heater at your house, you have one of these inside of it. I found a company that makes a 12 volt version, and it is 300 watts. So it's not a lot of power. It's a good amount of power. And
hold on, is it not a lot of power or a good amount of power?
It's both.
You got it. And I'm asking seriously because I don't know what. That's a legitimate question.
So 300 watts is for it in 12 volt. If you take 300 watts, you divide it by 12 volts, which is how many amps you pull. So this is probably a better way to see it. 300 watts at 12 volt is 25 amps. So it pulls 25 amps when it's running, which is a decent
amount. That's not a lot.
Not a ton. No, not a ton.
No. Like the fridge pulls like 65, right?
65 watts.
Hot
amps.
So it pulls less. The fridge pulls less than this actual heater does.
4 amps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Headlights are about 50 watts each. So 100 watts total. So it pulls a good amount of power. My alternator is only an 80 amp alternator. So I'm pulling 25 amps out of that. That's a good amount. But it's not enough to where my system that I have in there can't charge or maintain the voltage what it's at. So it's an immersion heater inside there. And then I have a water pump connected to one. I have an air vent connected to the other. And then I have a fill line on the other one. So there's 4 holes in there. And basically I put everything behind this wood panel. So this is like the control panel in the back of my car. You have a switch to turn on the heater, which if you are watching the video, there's a little panel above it. It's a digital control board. That's a 12 volt.
Is that 10.5 volts? Or
that's 105 degrees. So you can set it. You can set it at a temperature. you set
real smart, real good, LJ, real good.
It's 11.9 volts right there. So I went crazy with my label maker when I did this thing. I thought it was really cool.
I like it.
So you fill the tank up. It's 7 gallons. The tank, I timed it. It heats about 30 degrees every hour.
You label it?
So I did not label it.
Okay.
I just know this. So it heats up about 30 degrees every hour. So when you're driving, before you start your day, you set the temperature. There's a little set button on this little control board. And you click on set and you set the temperature to whatever you want. it kicks on and off. There's a temperature sensor in the tank. It kicks on the heater, and then it kicks off the heater once it gets to the temperature. So you start it in the morning, you're driving around all day, you get the water up to temp, and you're good to go. It sets it at 105 degrees, and it's at 105 degrees until you turn the vehicle off or you turn the heater off. So the thought was, when I get to camp and I'm cooking, doing dishes, things like that, I want the water hot already. I don't want to set anything up. So it's ready to go. So basically it's a heater. It's a water heater, water tank. Does that make sense?
It's like electric. So like a lot of people have that, like it might be propane driven where they'll run the water. I know Eric had one like that. I was talking to Albert up at Mill Creek earlier today. He has a propane water heater system that he'll hook up to his trailer that carries a lot of water.
And those are cool because they're instant. And if you have one set up in your trailer, it's not that really hard because all you do is basically hook up the propane and it's ready to go. I think Albert's is ready to go in his trailer at all times.
I think so. Yeah. He's looking, he's looking for an electric setup. And so I was like, you should listen in. So we might be talking about that tonight. But I can see, because I think he just wants to get rid of having to carry propane with him in general if he doesn't have to.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah. So the cool thing is it heats the water, and it's a storage thing. So the water's already hot. So you don't have to do anything. And I don't even have it insulated right now. It's currently just surrounded by plywood, and it's open on the front and back. So it's not even actually like sealed. I do want to take it apart and put like 2-inch like foam insulation.
Insulate it.
And make it really nice so it'll stay hot for 3-4 hours at least. Because it drains pretty quick, especially if it's cold out.
Yeah.
But if it's 105 when you park at camp and it's 5 o'clock, by 8 o'clock, it's still warm to where you're doing dishes, and it's nice. So yeah, that's kind of the setup. And it's basically just a cheap pump off Amazon with the regulator. I'm in it for $150 max with everything, with the heater, with the digital control board. The control board was, I think it was $15 for that little control panel with the thermostat and everything. Not expensive. So if you have the space, you have the dual battery, it's a pretty cool setup for what it is. And it's always ready to go. It has a compressor connection. And I'm using a compressor air hose. That's a coil for the tube. So it makes it really easy to just kind of plug it in and you're good to go. But you are stuck.
How do you pressurize it? Just with the compressor? You click on, that's what pressurizes it?
No, it has a 12-volt water pump. Just like an RV or something would. So there's a button for the pump, and you actually just flip it on.
Yeah, I remember that now.
It flips on, and it's an auto shut off pump. So when it builds up pressure, it shuts off, and then it just kind of keeps going on and off for you.
That's nifty.
Yeah, his whole setup's really awesome.
It's a MacGyver rig for sure.
You see him at the rally. Everybody else is walking around stinky, and like a zombie, and Jeff just has steam rolling out of his shower tent.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh shoot.
Steamy.
Oh, there we go.
Steamy Jeff.
Oh. Hey, there it is right there. That was the first time I had it set up and I was testing it out. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet little setup here. You can see the steam coming off. It's nice and easy to set up. I ended up standing on top of the car, taking a shower, and I think Walker was there with his camera taking pictures of me. It was pretty funny.
They got some great sunset shots.
Yeah, great. Sunset,
very beautiful
sunset shots.
But yeah, if you're a handy person, you can be all in it for the same price as a portable system. It's not outrageous. Tank's about $40, pumps $20, hose and fittings are another $25. Switches, things like that.
Yeah,
it's not that bad if you think about it.
No, I mean it's not. And I think everything we said today, I think the most expensive thing we talked about was the actual floorboard water tank from Front Runner, and that was $200. So true to the bankrupt nature, we're trying to figure out how to get out there and just do it and not break the bank, right?
Yep.
And so even the elaborate setup you have, done DIY style is not going to break you, right? It's going to take you a weekend.
No, it's not wild.
You'll be in it, personally, but you're not gonna go out there and, I mean, I'm sure some of these systems, which maybe one day we can go surf the internet and try to find some, because we're probably not ever gonna buy them, but I'm sure some of these
Bankrupt Overland guys, bankrupt.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some systems out there that can really take a toll. And if you're out there doing it full time, I can totally see why you'd want to have something that has a pump where you can pump water out from wherever you're at and purify it and use it. I remember watching the Expedition Overland videos. I think they had that on one of their trailers where they backed it down, filled up their trailer, purified the water, and then kept on going, on their expedition, which was like, that's pretty cool. Like,
yeah, they had one of these things called I think it's called a clean source Nomad. I think this is what they had. Good and this is what people use in RVs, where it filters the water before, but it includes a big flowing pump.
Yeah.
And it allows you to suck and siphon the water from any kind of water source, pulls water from any length, 15 amp pump. So it's a decent pump, pulls water up to 100 feet. So you can do some serious pumping with this. It's obviously
what's filtered. The gallons per minute on that? Do you know?
Oh, geez.
GPM. I imagine it should say it.
20-foot elevation. I mean, you're going to get
that's a pretty good
gallons,
pump.
3 gallons per minute, probably.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So you're going to get some serious pump from that. Originally what I wanted to do, but I just didn't want to spend the coin up front, is a heat exchanger. And I did actually build one off of the engine. So I built my own with a copper tube, and that allowed you to pump water through, not through the actual coolant. It allowed you to pump water next to the coolant in the engine, and it would actually heat the water to the temperature of the engine. So I did have that on my vehicle for about a year. I didn't really use it because you had to pop the hood and hook it up. But back in the day, these guys would put the pumps underneath the hood. They'd put a heat exchanger, which basically they use them in like beer brewing and stuff, and boats to cool down fluid. And it would basically run the water past the hot coolant and it would heat it up. So some guys would have basically a compressor fitting on the front bumper for an intake and a compressor fitting for the outtake. And they'd put the hose right in the bucket or a stream, and it would run through the engine with a temperature controlled panel, basically heating and mixing the water, and it would heat it up basically one time. So you could have unlimited hot water if you had your vehicle running. I wanted to do that, but I just didn't want to spend, it was like $160, $180 for the heat exchanger that would have enough plates in it.
Yeah.
To heat up the water fast enough. But I think down the line, that's the end goal, because you don't have to do anything to get hot water.
Real quick, what's that big company? Is it called like Hot Tap or something? You see it a lot on like trailer builds, where it's like a self-contained propane unit. But I was thinking, if you want to Bankrupt Overland that, you can have your ammo can fire pit with copper pipe, like in a coil. You run water through that copper pipe, have the fire pit going. That's going to heat it up. And I mean, what, you're in $70, if that? Like a $20 ammo can, the copper pipe, and then some sort of pump.
Yeah, no, that would be a good. I would like build a self-contained like ammo can that was sealed, so the fire would only heat inside and the heat wouldn't go up. But yeah, same thing as like a Jukla.
That's exactly what I was. Thank you for pulling that up.
Yeah, the Juklas are really good at marketing. Like they have really good marketing team. And there's so many other brands. You got a big pop up on there, LJ.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
I don't see it on my side.
A complete Jukla setup. It's right in the middle. Enter a raffle. I'll share. I'll basically, this is another brand. I think it's Camp Lux.
Oh yeah,
this is the same thing. You have your hot water out. You put your water in, and it's, you put your cold water in and then you have your hot water out, and you have a mixing valves for the hot and cold. And it's basically a heat exchanger.
How much is that one?
About what, $200?
Okay. It's not terrible. Still in the bankrupt range.
Yep.
It is. Yeah.
But that's not your water storage system. It's just a heat transfer system, right? So that's a piece of your component.
Correct. What the heat exchangers are is, this is the heat exchanger. So there's all these plates, and it skips every other one for this valve. This one connects to here. This one connects to here. So it switches every other one, and the hot water flows in here, and it flows through every other one of these plates. So it's basically like a sandwich of this one. I think is a 30 plate. So there's basically 15 plates for hot, 15 plates for the cold water, and they just touch each other, and the surface area heats the water. So that's what people put underneath
like a 12 volt, right? Like you hook it up to
your coolant. So your coolant runs through.
That's what's cooling. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like running your heater core when your engine's overheating. It'd be doing the same thing. It would actually be cooling your radiator. It would be taking the heat from your radiator and applying it into the other fluid.
Gotcha.
So it's big on machinery and boats. It's really big because your boats use, like a saltwater boat would use salt water, and they don't want to pump salt water through the engine. So they use these heat exchangers. The salt water pumps through these and can get corroded. It doesn't touch the engine internals.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like a radiator for a boat. Sure. Imagine it for a radiator for a boat.
Man.
Nifty.
Yeah, I think we've ran the whole gambit of different.
There goes
water.
An hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just on water.
Who knew? Imagine.
It's making me thirsty.
Who knew? I know. I'm almost out of water.
Good stuff.
Need to get some more juice boxes.
Yes.
Juice boxes.
But no, that was fun. I learned some stuff. I always learn some stuff when I get on here with you guys, when we start talking about overlanding stuff. You always bring something in that I'm like, well, tell me more about this.
I know, like my two favorite systems though, like real quick recap, is Jeff's homebrewed and your heart. Like your heart system is thick. I really like it. It's ultra portable. You don't have to think about it. Just make sure the battery's charged and you got water, and now you got pressurized, now you have running water. So yeah, it's
I would vote
Jeff and I
down for that.
The yin and yang of the overland world, where he's got the dual batteries, I got the Jackery, he's got the built-in water system with the thermal heat exchanger. I've got a little self regulated system. It's good though. It's good to see
good,
that, that's what I love about the podcast is we all have a little bit of a different interest in the way we go about it. So we're able to bring multiple different perspectives to the same hobby, which is pretty cool. I think I like learning about it, seeing it. Sure. It's a lot of fun it's always fun to get into some engineering or technical stuff with you guys, because y'all go deep. I'm always like, so wait a minute. I'm not kidding. And tell me more about it.
Well, the thing is to spend $130 on the heart, your wife's going to see that on the bill, right? On the statement. If you spend $20 here, $20 here, $10 here, $5 here, it still adds up to the same price, probably even more. And the time that you have to put in, but
it's just a hardware store, right? Like just gotta go
I was at Ace Hardware. I was getting stuff for the house.
Speaking of that, I'm going to go hit Ace Hardware up and see what else I can go buy to add onto my vehicle. It was a lot of fun hanging out tonight, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
Y'all have a good rest of the week.
All right.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye, y'all.